Omari, how concerned should we be with this injury to Kenyon Sadiq? It is a re-injury of his hernia. And look, it looked like he was fully recovered. The Jets said when he missed minicamp, he was going to be ready to roll for training camp. They were right. He looked good when I saw him in person on Saturday. And now, kind of up in the air what his status will be. Glenn's tone didn't sound great, but then he said they expect him ready for week 1. They also said 2 days ago it was just a maintenance day why he wasn't practicing. And then the next day, oh, wait, it's actually a setback. So I don't know what to believe, but I know it's not good considering how important we all felt Sadiq was going to be for this offense.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Now, if he said that he's going to miss, the first quarter of the season, then I would be worried. But right now, I think it's important for him to be healthy so he can hit the ground running. And again, a lot of the tight end, the things that he's going to have to do is mental. So as long as he's getting those mental reps, I wouldn't be too worried about it. If he's ready by week 1, Jake, I think that that's all that matters. And I wouldn't be too worried about it. And again, it's a hernia injury, right in that groin area. So a lot of explosive movements, anything can agitate that. So maybe he felt something on the maintenance day, and then 2 days later, you're always more sore a couple of days after. So maybe there's something, some soreness around where the incision was. Maybe they're just slow playing it just because everyone is ramping up. So whose injury I am worried about, honestly, Jake, and I'll be honest, Tavondre Sweat,
Great.
because this is a big conditioning and ramping up period, especially for those big guys, right? So what is Sweat listed at? 350. So that's probably being generous, right? I so every time Rich Samini speaks about Tavondre Sweat, his eyes always get big. So I
He
know that
adds another
Tavondre
10
Sweat,
pounds
yeah, he
every
always,
time.
yeah, I love it. Every time we talk about Tavondre Sweat, he's going to be 420 pounds by the time we get to Chicago. But I am actually worried about that. Big men that size moving hamstring, and now he's not ready. He's not able to ramp up. I'm not sure, the amount of what he's moving on the side, but that actually does worry me more than Kenyon Sadiq. So what do you think about that to Devondre Sweat injury?
I agree with you. And look, they need him for week 1 because so much of what the Jets want to do this year is stop the run and put themselves in a spot where they could rush the passer with David Bailey, Will McDonald. And also, we know Aaron Glenn is not afraid to call different blitzes and try and get home that way. So the Jets want to be in scenarios where the team they're playing has to pass the ball. And last year, they couldn't stop the run. They had no semblance of any defense. They couldn't stop any type of play. It didn't matter. But their offseason moves were built around adding guys that are really good against the run. I mean, Onyemata, really good against the run. Bringing back Harrison Phillips, really good against the run. Going out there and trading for Tavondre Sweat, really good against the run. Osai could play a little bit as a rusher. He's got good gap integrity. He's good at playing the run. Like, these were their moves for trying to beef up this defense. Demario Davis is excellent at that as a linebacker. If they don't have Sweat, that to me is a big blow because he was supposed to be a guy that could help really raise the floor of this defense. So they still have some depth there, but you don't want to be going into the year not having the full deck, available to you because then other guys are going to get hurt. And then that's how you get really thin at a position. So it's early. They say he'll be ready, but man, you'd like to get Tavondre Sweat back out there with a couple weeks still to go in the preseason so he could be fully ramped up, get his conditioning right for week 1 in Tennessee.
Yeah, because with Sweat, it's about how much can he play. If you can only have Devondre Sweat on the field for what 40% of the snaps, then you're really taking away from what you were hoping that you brought him in here to do, and that's anchor the defense against the run. But the good thing about it is that now Darryl Jackson Jr., who we thought was basically going to be a red shirt, he's getting some snaps. So maybe if Tavondre Sweat comes back and he has to be in a more reserve role, I think these are going to be valuable reps for Darryl Jackson Jr. And now he's having a chance to really open some eyes because he's a mountain of a man as well too, and he has some positional versatility. He's played all the way from the zero, which is head up over the nose, all the way out to the 4-eye, which is in between the guard and the tackle. So I think that that's a good. It's good to see some of those mid-round picks get to shine in a situation that they probably wouldn't. So hopefully Sweat is back, but even next week, Tavondre Sweat is going to be able to get a lot of reps in those joint practices and hopefully against the Tampa Bay Bucks.
The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to, and check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. But David Bailey looks good, and I know a lot of Jet fans are excited about him. Omari, give me your thoughts on some of the positive reports we've seen and have, of course, I was able to witness in person from David Bailey doing his thing so far after being drafted number 2.
There's nothing, Jake, there's nothing better than your high draft pick basically showing you everything that all the scouts and enthusiasts talk about. So the first step, the quickness, the speed rush. And what I absolutely love is that he's going against one of the best right tackles in the NFL in Omar Membo. And it just feels good to have two of those guys on the same team in the trenches. So everything that I've heard from David Bailey, nothing surprises me. And one thing I want to touch on too, everyone keeps talking about David Bailey isn't good against the run. I think David Bailey is more of a complete player than people want to give him credit for. Texas Tech really didn't ask him to set the edge. And let's be real, guys. These edge rushers, they aren't getting paid $100 million to set the edge. They're getting paid to be disruptors. And it seems like from every account, that's what David Bailey's doing. So, I know that he had 3 sacks. We'll call it 3 sacks in a non-padded practice. But again, when they did one-on-ones, he's winning some, he's losing some. So I think all 4 of those guys, I'm talking about Olu, Membu, Bailey, Will McDonald, all those guys are going to make them better. And, you want to hear on a Monday that the tackles are winning. And then you want to hear on a Tuesday that the edges are winning. Most good teams, when they have strong positional groups like that, they go back and forth. And that's why you can't get too high about Geno going 11 for 11 on Saturday, and you can't get too low about the padded practice and the defense winning. That's what you truly want to see. But I mean, David Bailey is, as advertised, one of the best first steps in the entire draft, and he's a speed disruptor. That's exactly what he is, and that's exactly what I expect David Bailey to be from day one.
And him getting to go up against Membu and Olu Fashanu in practice every day is a great thing. So David Bailey should not dominate every day because the Jets have 2 really good tackles, including Armand Membu, who, based on everything we have heard so far, and we saw it in person last year just watching him with the Jets, this guy is special. Like, it would not surprise me if by the end of the year, we're talking about Armand Membu as just like the best pure football player on this team.
It wouldn't shock me one bit. It wouldn't shock me if he's a team MVP. And honestly, Jake, it wouldn't shock me if he is getting all pro votes as well, too. What he was able to do in his age 21 season was just phenomenal. And I know that some people had they had ideas about getting Tyler Warren or getting another weapon, but I think that you legit have a stalwart at right tackle for the next decade. And again, I know Olu has some stuff to prove, and people are out on Olu, but I think that there's no questions about Armand Membo. He's nasty, he's physical, he's technical, he's smart. I saw Joe Blewett on Nick Shine's show just breaking down the communication between he and Tippmann. I think that right side of the line is something that fans can and should feel good about for the foreseeable future.
So Brandon Thorne, who, if you're on Twitter, you probably have seen his tweets before. He is known to be like an offensive line guru, like really good at evaluating offensive line play. That's his niche. He does rankings every year, and he put Armand Membu 28th overall. And you compare that to where all the other players rank in his tackle rankings. That's the 4th best right tackle in the NFL. So he already has him as the 4th best right tackle. I want to confirm if he's just ranking O-line and D-line or he's doing the whole league. But among right tackles, he's right tackle 4. So you just saw Darnell Wright get a big-time contract from the Chicago Bears the other day. Like, Membu's on his way to being that dude for the New York Jets after one season. And you said it. He was 21. Now he's 22. He's going to get bigger, stronger, become more of a manly man, beast breaker style. The sky is the limit for Armand Membu with this team. Just let's hope he gets blessed with great health, because that is the only thing I think that could derail him from being a 10-plus year Pro Bowl to all-pro level starter for this team.
Yeah, I think you look at Armand Membu, and that's what a $100 million tackle looks like. That's exactly what a $100 million offensive tackle looks like. And I'm glad you brought this up, Jay. Great segue. You must do this often. Olu Fashanu. He changed his body. He's more physical. It looks like he's added stuff. I don't know. Has anybody asked him how much weight he's put on but you can physically see from the pictures in his lower half, he's thicker. You
Well, he
want your
did talk
tackles.
about Omari that last year he was rehabbing for a lot of the
Rehabbing.
offseason because he got hurt at the end of that rookie season with the
Yes.
Jets when he got a chance to play at the end. So he didn't really get to work on his body. He was just working on trying to get healthy. Now he's had a full offseason where he's healthy and he's just working on getting bigger and stronger. Mission accomplished. He looked great when I saw him in person Saturday.
That's good, and I think that Olu's more of a finesse guy. He wins with finesse first, but again, if he's able to add some functional strength, I think that's going to unlock a whole different facet of his game. So he's going to be able to anchor more. He's going to be able to move people a little bit easier because he already has quick feet and he's good at mirroring. So if he can really start to move people, I think that he can take the next step. But again, I think to be honest, if Olu can just be a top 15 left tackle or just a very dependable good tackle, doesn't have to be a superstar. I think that could take this offensive line to another stratosphere. So he has some questions to answer as well too, and this will be good for him as well because yeah, sometimes I feel like he does struggle with speed, especially when they're threatening vertically. So having Will McDonald and having David Bailey is only going to help him a little bit. You want practice to be harder than it is on Sundays, and I think those two are going to provide that for him.
What do you expect from this offensive line? Like, obviously, we know Membu is the real deal. We think Olu Fashanu will take another step in his third year, be more of a complete player. They clearly like Joe Tippmann, gave him an extension. Myers is the center. Parham is the swap out for John Simpson as the new left guard. What do you expect from this unit? And let's assume they're healthy. Last year they had incredible health. I don't know if you can expect that once again, but let's say for the sake of the conversation, reasonably speaking, they play the vast majority of the games this year. What do you expect from this O-line? Because they're the biggest key to Geno Smith being the quarterback he was in Seattle for Jet fans who want to believe. Like Geno Smith, when he's protected, he's a solid quarterback. When he's not, he's among the worst when he's pressured. And all quarterbacks are way worse when they're under pressure. But with Geno, it's as big of a drastic, when pressured, when not pressured number as any in the league. When he's protected, he's good. And by the way, Rich Cimini pointed out this nugget when he spoke with Connor Long the other night. Geno Smith last year was the 10th rated quarterback in QBR in the red zone, which surprised me because he was so awful last year, everyone said. But in the red zone, he was really good. So if you protect Geno, I think he could still make all the throws. Even last year in the red zone, he was good on a bad team. So what do you expect from this offensive line? Because again, I've been talking way too long about this. They're the key for Geno Smith to have some success.
Yeah, I think the performance of the offensive line is going to determine the season because that just unlocks everything. So I'm not going to say that they're going to be a top 12 unit, Jake. I think they need to be somewhere between 14th and 17th ranked offensive line because again, as good as I feel about the right side of the line and Tippmann and Membu, I do have some questions about Olu's run game. We're not going to confuse Dylan Parham with a Pro Bowl level guard. And you got to be honest, Josh Myers is not our number one choice. Now, again, if Josh Myers is the weakest link on your offensive line, then you're in a good spot. But again, I mean, you're swapping out John Simpson for Dylan Parham. He wasn't great last year. I'm not going to judge him just on the Raiders because that was just a complete mess. Chip Kelly was calling plays that didn't exist. So again, you still have some concerns on that interior. And just like you said, they all were healthy last year. That's probably not going to happen this year. So they're one injury away from Xavier Newman taking some important snaps. So then you're going to have to kick over Dylan Parham, who has some versatility, and get Inez Cooper in there. And I'm not sure how ready Inez Cooper is to take some snaps. So I would say this unit, a good year for them is to end up a top 15 unit. And if you tell me that they're ranked 13th or 14th, I would say that the Jets have had a decent year, and Geno would probably have a decent year as well too.
Omari, in terms of Aaron Glenn, have you noticed anything that has stood out to you in his second year compared to where we were at this time last year?
Yeah, he's way more toned down. He's definitely. I think last year humbled him. I think he's not given a lot of bulletin board material, even though we'll find a way. I think he's thinking. I think he's thinking longer before he responds to questions. He's not giving too much away. He understands the message that he wants to send to his team, and I think he knows. I think he knows that he has a lot to prove. So I like. Listen, it's a measured approach, and again, it's training camp. Everyone's in the best shape of their life. Everyone feels great, but It's hard for me. It's hard for me. I try not to be negative because like my default setting is to always be negative with this team sometimes. But again, you got Jeremy Ruckert saying that things are different. You even got Garrett Wilson saying that things are different, and he's promising people that things are going to be different. So I do think that they all feel that things are on an upward trajectory, as upward as the Jets can be. So so again, I think Aaron Glenn has learned his lesson, and he's going to be here. So I'm not gonna root for this man to just outwardly fail. But again, he's I'm not. I just need to see it. I have to see it the first two games. I need to see some exotic looks. I need to see some post snap coverage roles, and that's something that I want to get into next. Geno. So a lot of people are telling me, and I overheard Nate say, and I think you said it as well too. Geno is he's throwing the ball and is predetermined. And I'm going to have a chance to go to practice on Tuesday, and hopefully I'm credentialed next week. So I want to see that myself because I'm hearing that there's a lot of predetermined passes. So pre-snap, Geno's trusting his eyes and he's just throwing it up. So it's good for what you're going to see, but that's not what Geno's going to get week 1. That's not what he's going to get in those joint practices. So I need to see what Geno's going to look like when he has to go against some post-snap coverage. When he looks down to get the ball and then the coverages are changing post snap. What is that going to look like? What is it going to look like when he has to go to his second and third read? Because a lot of even with Sabo, and I love what Robbie does. He's very in depth with his training camp notes. It seems like he's making up his mind pre snap and then he's just going with it. Now I know it's early in camp and they're still installing things, but that's going to worry me, Jake. Because even though even Salah is going to reinvent himself and he's going to show some disguises post snap, so I think that's going to determine how Geno's season goes, what he's able to do against the defenses when they shift things post snap.
I think it's a great point. And look, with Geno, what I like is that he doesn't care about throwing picks in practice. He's not trying to look good in front of the coaches, or he's worried about like Rich Cimini or Brian Costello saying, "Oh, Geno threw a pick." Like he's taking chances. He's throwing downfield. We're not having the same reports like we got a year ago with Justin Fields, where it's like, "Oh, he's rolling out. It would have been a sack in a game, but we're not sure." And we try and talk ourselves into it. Like Geno's a pro. I think he's had a good camp. I think it's been exactly what you would expect. I think the fact that he already seemingly has gotten down the offense for the Jets with Frank Reich is really encouraging. I forget where I heard this. Garrett might have said this to the Jets media in-house team, but they asked Garrett about Geno Smith, and he talked about how smart he was. And Geno made a point to Garrett about how, this is what he wants to do. Here's the concept. Here's how we'd like to see it. And Garrett said to him, "Oh, like, did you do that in Seattle?" And he goes, "No, this is Frank's offense." And it was like on day 1 of install. And Garrett was blown away that like Geno already knew all the nuances and intricacies of a brand new offense. So like Geno's smart. The red zone numbers last year back that up. You got to be really good at processing quick to have success in the red zone, which he still did. I don't know. I'll say this. I am more encouraged with Geno Smith than I was pre-camp. And that's always dangerous when you do that because he is practicing against the Jet defense. So there's the other side of all that. And they don't have Sweat. They don't have Pont. Whatever excuse you want to make, you can come up with it. But I do feel better about the possibility of Geno giving us a competent season than I did before training camp, if that makes sense.
And that's good. Your eyes told you one thing, and now you're able to form a different opinion. One thing that always bothers me. You can feel how you want to feel about Geno Smith, especially off the field, and his first tenure here. My issue is when people try to negate his football intelligence. The same thing with Aaron Glenn as well too. These guys just didn't walk and luck into these positions, so they are very knowledgeable. Now, are you able to take that knowledge and turn it into something positive on the field? Now, again, not many people can do that, but physically and sometimes from a mental standpoint, they are equipped to be able to be successful in these roles. So that's one thing that does bother me.
Today, just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.